Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Model Man Frank here. How are you guys doing today? Hope your weekend was uneventful. Hope you were able to spend time with family, do your chores, maybe do some flying, model airplane wise, or watch some really cool documentaries online. Went to the Arts and Crafts Festival in town this past weekend. Did some flying on Friday. What little flying I could do. I mean, it was windy as heck. So, and had other things that I had to do also around the house. Um, News wise, we all know what's going on pretty much in the news lately. We got 2 days left before the elections are over, and we can go back to somewhat normalcy, hopefully. No more, at least no more election commercials, because I just can't stand those. I mean, it's like every 5 minutes you're watching a video, and all of a sudden an election video comes on, against this person or against that person, and you're like fumbling around for the mouse to skip to the next video, you know. And then on the news, it's the same thing, and or vice versa, or better yet, you're listening to music on YouTube on this platform, and a commercial comes on right in the middle of the song, and you're like, you know. So, news-wise in the aviation world, I haven't seen much going on. I really haven't been paying attention. If anybody has anything to add, please go right ahead and do so. Just put it down there in the description box, and talk about some aviation news. Model airplane wise, I got some stuff here that I'll be working on this week. Working furiously on the SST 40. I got the wings covered. I got the fuselage covered, and I'm now currently working on the nose of the aircraft. I will be putting a video out this week about the aircraft, the build video, and also I'll be creating a new playlist for the next build that's coming after this one. In terms of control wise, I'm most likely going to end up putting a lemon receiver in it from Motion RC. Only because it comes with a gyroscopic system in it, and I have the same system set up in the Spitfire, and it works really, really well. I think there really is no problem with it, other than that, it is Spectrum allowable. In other words, it's Spectrum software, but it at least has the capability to have what's called wind mitigation in it. In other words, as the aircraft is flying through the air, the plane adjusts itself and kind of tries to keep itself stable, even though it's windy. So when I'm coming in for a landing, sometimes I don't have to crab so much. The plane will actually crab itself into the wind, which is really nice. So I'm definitely going to be probably getting a Gen 2 for this one here, and doing it. I can tell you right now, this kit's going together really well, being that it's such an old kit. If I had to build it again, I'd build it out of foam board or Dapron foam. You could buy Dapron. There's a guy online or in the back of the AMA magazine, if you get AMA, that you can order sheets of Dapron, which is basically foam board from him. It's like $3.49 a sheet, and he'll send you a bunch of them. I would buy like $50 with it. It's a little bit heavier quality than what you would buy at Dollar Tree, or it's almost the quality of the type of Dapron foam you would buy from Office Max or Hobby Lobby. That type of quality, but a better price. So I'm sure if you bought a lot of it, the guy would probably work a deal with you. So you may want to contact him. I'll put a link in the description box below so you guys can find him. Other than that, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the Mohawk. Grumman OV-1 Mohawk. If nobody really knows much about this aircraft, there's very, very little on this plane. This aircraft was not developed for the Air Force. It was developed for the Air Force originally, and it was developed for the U.S. Navy, but both branches didn't want it. Then they went to the Marines, and the Marines just didn't want to have anything to do with it. So then they went to the Army, and the Army said, I think we could probably work something out. So the aircraft actually wound itself in the Army inventory. The plane was developed in the 1960s with the very first, it was a STOL-capable aircraft. In other words, short field takeoff and landing aircraft. It had the wing to boost. Power plant was two Lycoming T53L701 engines. They were turboprop, very loud. There's actually a couple of them. There's one that flies, and I do believe they're still. I think they're getting the second one flying. Oh, if you're in the Florida area, and you're a pilot, or if you're living in the Palm Beach or East Coast area of Florida, there's a place, Lantana Airport. They have a couple of them there, and they're based out of there, and they do fly the aircraft. The plane was revolutionary for its time because what it had was, if you look at a photo of the plane, it has this big box that sits alongside. It's called side scan radar. And I'm going to play a video for you so you guys can see what the aircraft is. It was a two-seat multi-sensor observation aircraft. It had a bulbous type windscreen, almost like a helicopter. Both sides were curved, so you could look down and you could actually see the ground. And the window screen was very large. It had ejectable canopy, but it was only two, pilot and radar operator. This aircraft operated from the Vietnam War all the way to Gulf War number 1, which was Desert Storm. The aircraft was good at what it did, and it was actually the only aircraft that actually ended up shooting down a MiG, if I'm corrected. I do believe it's true. It did shoot down a MiG. Shot it down with its rockets. So, very interesting point of interest of that aircraft. So, I'm actually right now going to bring up a video here so you guys can watch a little bit about this plane. I found this video online, and I think you'll get a real. It's pretty interesting. It's a little bit kind of. It talks a lot about what type of plane this is. Again, it's a reconnaissance aircraft. It really wasn't built as a fighter plane. It wasn't meant to carry armament at all. And it didn't have machine guns. So it really just... Let me see if I can find the one of the... Okay, this is the development of the aircraft. I'm going to show you this one first. Excuse me.
The Grumman Mohawk is expected to increase the Army's capability for round-the-clock battlefield surveillance and target acquisition by electronic, visual, and photographic means. Flaps, wing slats, and drag brakes slow the Mohawk to a stalling speed of 55 knots for landing on short, unimproved landing strips. It will be the first all-weather fixed-wing, short takeoff and landing aircraft delivered to the Army, which will provide a specific surveillance capability. Engineering flight tests have proven Mohawk's ability to operate from a strip 800 feet long over a theoretical obstruction 50 feet high. Infrared observation and strip mapping equipment or side-looking airborne radar can be mounted with provision for a high-speed reconnaissance camera. Mohawk can carry 1,000 pounds of observation and surveillance equipment in addition to the pilot and observer. The high-visibility cockpit design allows maximum visual observation. Side-by-side seating permits better communication between pilot and observer, with faster reaction to target sightings on either side. Low-altitude ejection seats and twin engines provide extra safety and reliability. The Mohawk is ideally suited to its mission of low-altitude observation during shallow penetrations into hostile territory. Its powerful turbojet engines give it a cruising speed of 200 knots, a maximum speed of 275 knots, and a high rate of climb, making it less vulnerable than slower aircraft. The triple tail assembly gives better control at low speeds. Mohawk has fulfilled service tests for rough terrain, short takeoffs, and landings. It will be expected to operate from unimproved fields. A limited number of prototypes are currently being evaluated. Well on the way to being operational, Mohawk will soon be available down to division level.
I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me. That was stupid of me. Um, duh. So, I'm gonna play a video for you. The aircraft was just not. It was ugly to look at, as you can see. It wasn't really a page turner like, wow! No, it wasn't really that type of aircraft. You know, like an F-35 or an F-22 Raptor or F-14 Tomcat. It wasn't really an F-16. Top speed of the plane, if anybody didn't hear the last one, because I had turned the volume down on my speaker, was 289 miles an hour. Wasn't really that fast. So, it really didn't. It didn't really go too well for that in that aspect. So, I'm going to play the video now so you guys can see what it looks like. When that happens, I will mute my mic so you can hear the video a little bit clearly. Again, sorry about that. I forgot on my control pad here to raise my volume and lower the other volume, so that was my mistake. Here we go. Let's see. Got the video around here somewhere. Let me see. Screen recording. There we go. All right, here we go, guys.
Platform for the airborne portion of the ANUPD-7 system is the Army's OV-1 Mohawk, justly famous for its capabilities in photographic and infrared surveillance. The fact that it can be quickly configured for the SLAR mission, as indicated by its antenna housing, adds to its utility. Radar imagery is captured in permanent form on a film strip that records the information photographically. Imagery is heat processed and is visible to the observer in only minutes after it has been acquired by the radar. The ANUPD-7 is ECCM hardened, and the recorder unit provides operator controls that enhance its protective capabilities in the threat environment. The ANUPD-7 receives precision positioning data from the aircraft inertial navigation system. Information from the inertial navigation system is integrated with mission data inserted by the Airborne Data Annotation System, ADAS, and the resulting composite data is recorded on the film strip along with radar imagery. Side-looking airborne radar provides radar visibility in depth at any time of day or night and in fair weather or foul. The fact that radar imagery becomes visible to the observer aloft and simultaneously in the ground station in near real time lends the system special intelligence acquisition value and usefulness. For both air and ground systems, the display includes both fixed target information at the left and moving target information at the right. Between them is the mission ADAS data. The fixed target imagery is rendered at full density. Moving target imagery is identical, except that only a residual fixed target image is used as a reference for accurate location of moving targets with respect to readily identifiable terrain features. Fiducial marks align the ADAS data accurately with moving target imagery, providing extremely precise position data for immediate or future use, because it shows exactly where the radar was looking at the instant.
So you guys can pretty much see what is going on here. It gets kind of boring at this point. I wanted to show you. Okay, this is the part that I wanted to show you.
Radiates diagonally, oriented slightly down from the horizontal plane of the aircraft. The operator may select from 3 radar scan patterns: a beam pattern looking right, looking left, or in both directions simultaneously. Radar range in each direction is 100 kilometers. Beam angle is less than 1 degree wide and diverges with range. This affects azimuth resolution, or the system's ability to discriminate between adjacent moving objects parallel to the aircraft ground track. Close in, the radar beam footprint is narrow. Azimuth resolution parallel to the ground track and at range of 10 kilometers is 80 meters. That is, objects separated by at least 80 meters will be displayed as individual targets. Due to beam divergence, resolution parallel to the ground track decreases with range, requiring an additional 80 meters of separation for each 10.
So as you can see, what basically this type of system was, if you see side scan sonar that's used in everyday tracking, you know, looking for cars that are underwater, looking for debris that's underwater, that's where that technology originated from, was from that system. They just basically over time were able to shrink it and make it into a smaller type of use. So side scan sonar, what that is. The plane was revolutionary for its time, and I can see why the Air Force didn't want it and why the Navy didn't want it. It just wasn't, there wasn't really a niche for it. You know, you had AWACS and early development warning aircraft and other planes out there that could have done this type of work, specifically on the site of using an airplane with just two persons on board. You could have easily probably modified either a jet aircraft or even a tracker aircraft to do the same type of work. But of course the Army wanted it, so they bought it. There's a lot of planes out there in the world that were purchased, and afterwards the operators were like, I think that was a stupid buy. I don't think we really needed that plane. You know what? Nah, we'll put it to fly mail around the country or something like that. That was the Tu-144. The Tu-144 was the first, flew before the Concorde, and was developed just as a PR stunt because they wanted to show that the Soviet Union can build a freaking Mach 2 transporter, you know, just like the West did. The problem is they didn't make the aircraft very quiet, so that was another story. If you ever get a chance, there's a great documentary about that aircraft called On Mustard. If you type in Mustard, and you'll find Tu-144. They talk all about it. It's hilarious. They talk about a lot of Russian aircraft and planes that were like that. But getting back to our discussion, I can see why there was not much information about this plane. I'm going to show you the last video now, and then we'll talk a little bit more about. I think this is the video that talks about the shoot down. I don't know if this is the one. I can't remember. I recorded it, and if you want to watch the videos in their entirety, I'll put the link in the description box below. Again, they came from, most of the recordings came from, it actually came from Wikipedia. But they were quite interesting. So let me go there and get this last one for you, and you guys can watch it. Hold on, guys. Here we go.
Seems like self-defense might be a regular need for a forward air controller in Vietnam, but there we are. And self-defense was, in fact, very much the order of the day in February 1968. Ken Lee's Mohawk was armed with two 50 caliber machine gun pods and two rocket pods. The MiG pilot made a fatal error, and in his hurry to re-engage, he pulled up right across the OV-1's path. Ken Lee let him have it with everything, pumping 50 caliber bullets into the Fresco from point-blank range. He also fired his 38 rockets in two salvos, largely by Kentucky windage as the Mohawk's gun sight had no air-to-air mode. Many 50 cal rounds, and by Lee's estimation, 4 2 3/4 inch rockets hit the MiG in the fuselage and wing. The MiG's engine flame disappeared as the two aircraft entered a low cloud bank. Lee lost track of the MiG for 5 seconds, reacquiring it as both aircraft exited the clouds. Its right wing was low and the nose was pitched over, with orange flames lapping the rear fuselage. The MiG went around one of the mountains, ringing the ash out, turning into what Lee knew was a blind valley. He was so low, though, that he knew he couldn't get out of the valley without impacting the hillside, and so he didn't see the MiG crashing.
So there you go. That was the actual shoot down of that aircraft. So it was a MiG-17 Fresco. Got into a snip with this little low-flying observer plane, and I guess the Fresco pilot thought, there's an easy target. Let me go shoot at that for a while. But being that the aircraft was low-flying and slower, didn't spell too well because the slow-flying slug was armed with rockets and machine guns. It doesn't really talk about the amount of weapons that this aircraft had. So yeah, it did have rockets, but I guess it had machine guns also, probably just little 50 caliber machine guns. So it was mostly made during the Vietnam War to be able to ground strafe. It wasn't a dogfighting aircraft, but this MiG-17 pilot was just stupid. The minute he went underneath the Mohawk, he banked up, and the Mohawk was right there. He just, let him have it and shot the plane down. It was the only time that an OV-1 Mohawk ever shot down a MiG-17. So that was the only time that ever happened. Other than that, the aircraft, after the 1970s and into the 1980s, the aircraft saw very limited use. It was used in mostly war games. It was never sold overseas, so there were not any real big production numbers to boot. And it was, the only real good thing was it was the very first turbopropped aircraft that the U.S. Army ever owned. It was used again in Desert Storm back in the 1990s for its intended role. After that, it went into obscurity and was kind of sold off, and people did buy it. Luckily, this group out of Lantana was able to acquire a couple and are able to do museum, and people can learn a little bit about the plane. So that's all I have to say about that aircraft. Tonight's a weird one, guys, because I'm falling asleep. I'm sure it was daylight savings time for everybody all around the world. 8 o'clock actually right now feels like 9 o'clock. So I'm usually already in bed getting ready to go to sleep at 9 o'clock. And my body clock is trying to change this. I hope in the next 4 years they try to go ahead and put away with that, and we don't ever have to change the clocks again. It would be a great thing, because really it is just to be off topic on this, it is really pointless to do this. When daylight savings time came about, it was during the Revolutionary War, and it was Benjamin Franklin that invented it. You know, for uses of whale oil, because they used whale oil for everything, and for candles, and so people would be able to kind of time in when certain days of the week would be best for burning stuff. So, and nowadays we really don't need it, and it spends a lot of money. So, that's it really about the OV-1. That was a little history about daylight savings time. One aircraft that I really would like to talk to you guys about is, and we'll talk about it in the next podcast. Next week we're going to talk about model airplanes. I'm going to go over some of the planes that I'm working on, and the next aircraft. Here I'm going to show you guys. I'll set up my phone as hopefully I can get a camera. I'm thinking about getting a webcam camera so I can set it up over here and we can broadcast. I can make videos showing how I build the planes and everything like that. And I want to do more videos for that so you guys can see. There'll be a video coming out this week about how to use outer zone. If nobody really knows what outer zone is, there's a video going to be coming out about it. I'm so happy that I was able to make it today, and I'll be putting out more videos like that. Other than that, oh, there goes my sprinkler system is turning on. Yes, I turned on the sprinkler system. One of the things that we will talk about, not next week, but the week after next, we're going to talk about an aircraft that was first. It was the first operational jet plane to land on an aircraft carrier after World War II. So, it's you guys can look that one up, and then you'll get an idea of what I'm going to be talking about next week. Not next week, the week after next. So the next week we will do RC planes. We'll talk about what's going on in the shop in terms of model airplanes. On the 17th, which is the couple of days before Thanksgiving, we will talk about this aircraft coming up. It was developed so another famous fighter could be created and could be used famously and have a very good war career. It had a very high kill ratio during a certain war, and we'll talk about it then. We will also talk about how the aircraft was developed and it later became part of this aircraft without pointing at it. And I know you guys probably kind of think about, you're like, I think I know which aircraft he's talking about. So if you know the aircraft, put it in the link, keep it to yourselves. And then I'll start putting out little kind of like hints about it in the next couple of weeks. I'm also going to work on another one about, I want to give you guys an in-depth tutorial about the Grumman Albatross. That is a plane that's really cool, and if you don't know very much about the Grumman Albatross, we have one here in Sebring that's awaiting transport to its new home, and I'm going to talk about that one. That one will be in 3 weeks. So I've got some photos for it, and we're going to talk extensively about it, and I'll probably put a little bit more of a long format video out, and then we'll talk about it here on the podcast. So, but with all that said, guys, thank you very much. If you're watching this on playback, real important, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the page, hit the bell icon. You'll be alerted every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. I go live Eastern Standard Time here on this channel. We talk about everything from RC aircraft to history aircraft, talk about the oddities of different aircraft, and I will be doing some more of these videos. Every Sunday night we try, unless, quote, unless it is a weather event that I can't control. So, with that said, everybody, thank you very much for watching. We're going to get the show a little early today because, again, daylight savings time, and I'm trying to stay awake for... Oh, before I go, I wanted to show you guys something. I was cleaning out my office at work, and this was something that I really wanted to show you guys. I forgot to show it to you guys last week. I got model airplane kits. Yes, I do build plastic models. So maybe one time I'll make some videos on plastic model building. This is only, there were 5 kits actually, 6 kits. I gave one to a friend. The Academy, they're all 1/72nd scale. Somebody really liked Corsairs. There was a guy that worked for the place where I work now, and he had these sitting in a box, and I pulled the box down and I found all these kits. Really nice kits. Tamiya, they have the birdcage one, which is the F4U1. The one above it is the A model, and then we've got the Korean model, which is the B model, and the regular A model here too. But yeah, oh, and I also have the Goodyear version, which is it's a bubble canopy, so that's really cool. But yeah, hopefully maybe I'll make a couple of videos on plastic models in the future. So I just wanted to show you guys that. But again, thank you very much for watching, guys, tonight. We will make the video a little bit longer next time. But I'm just, pardon me. Also, to everybody that has subscribed, if you're watching this on Playback, thank you so very much. We made 6,000 subscribers. Now, if I can get y'all to watch some videos of mine, they're really informative. We will be making the videos a little bit more. Hopefully, you'll be able to catch us on our live podcast here, and that way you can see and have a little fun with us talking on it. Good evening, Peyton. I am going to be next week. We will make the show a little longer. Again, we'll be talking We'll be talking about RC aircraft. We're going to talk next week for sure. We're going to talk about battery sizes and the different batteries for different aircraft. We're going to talk also about the different model airplanes that I have in the shop that I'm working on, including the SST. I'm probably going to be a little bit more into finishing that one up. We'll be talking about the Lemon J 2 receivers. I'll show you guys what one looks like if I can pull it out of one of the aircraft. And I will show you some of the other stuff that's being worked on here in the club, in the office, sorry, in the shop. Preferably the next aircraft that I'm going to be putting up here on the workbench to get it built. So, with that said, Peyton, thanks for watching, but you'll have to watch me on Playback so you could catch what we talked about on the OV Mohawk, but next week we will go a little longer on the video. Again, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night. Have a good week. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Model Man Frank out. Talk to you.